Okay, today we're going to continue our look at preferences. And this time we're looking at the preferences system screens. There are a few here, so we'll try to go through them as quickly as possible. But just starting with our preferences system company screen. This screen is, for the most part, purely informational. You will see your licensed company name, your address, some basic contact information, etc. About the only thing you would ever need to use this screen for would be if you decided to increase or decrease your license count for any reason. We would provide you a new license key, which you would put in here, change the number of licensed users, and validate and save. And that would affect that new license count. But other than that, this screen is pretty informational in that regard. Report and invoice logos. These are fairly obvious, as the name implies. And basically the idea here is you can, in fact, load in a graphic representing the header and footer that you want to appear on your reports and invoices, and the system will, in fact, do that. They do have to be within a certain size range, and in this case, the headers should be 7.5 inches wide by 1 inch high. We no longer recommend 96 dpi. This is a bit outdated. We do recommend about 300 dpi now, but the size in inches is important. Same thing with the footer. It should be 7.5 inches high by about a quarter to a half an inch high, and 7.5 inches wide, a half to a quarter inch high. Same thing with the invoice logos. And those can be very easily added in with your little plus buttons, or deleted if you need to change them with your minus buttons. Also, if you wish to use letterhead paper, you can in fact do that, in which case you would just want to load in a blank white graphic of the recommended size. System defaults. There's a few options here, so we will go through these. So the first is the start of the week. So for those of you out there who have a payroll week or a billing week that starts on a day other than Sunday, you can in fact set that. And this will actually do a couple of things. The first is that if you're looking at your time screen, and we're looking at our actual grid screen that shows our week, we'll notice that the week does in fact start on the day we have selected. The other area this will affect is if you run a payroll report. The payroll report will also take into account this as the start of the week if you do group that report on a weekly basis. The next area is just a short list of countries, and this is used in your contact records. So as we are entering contacts on our address tab, we do in fact have a list of countries that we can create to allow us to have a convenient entry method for that. Phone number formats. So this actually works in concert with the Formats tab, which we'll get to in a moment. But basically this creates a list of the available phone number formats you can use. For the most part, in the United States, all phone numbers are 3, 3, and 4, but that's certainly not the case in other areas. So if you are in one of these areas, you can absolutely change this. And again, as with most other of the lists found throughout preferences, if you've seen some of the other videos in this series, these lists are all fully customizable and can be added to or removed from, or values changed as you need. And then finally, a list of states found in the United States. And again, this can be customized. So if you are in Canada, you can certainly add the Canadian provinces or the counties in the UK or what have you to this list. Again, add, remove, change, all fully possible. Getting back to that phone number format, on the default screen, we set the list of available formats. On our format screen, this is where we set which one is actually going to be the default format. So when we actually go in and we enter a new phone number, this is how the system will know how to format this number after we actually enter it and then save the record. So if we want it to put round parentheses around the area code, spaces or dashes at various places, we can select one of the previously defined formats, and that's how it will know to do that. Or we can just forego that and we can say no. Just leave it as a raw number. However I enter it, that's how I want it to be there. So we can certainly do that. We can also set a split extension, and what this actually does is allows us to use the phone number format to our advantage. And say, for instance, if we were in the United States, we know a phone number is 10 digits long. So if we just type 13 digits in this box with no spaces, dashes, or anything else, when we save, the system will automatically know that those extra 3 digits should actually go over here in the extension, and it will actually move them there for you automatically. Date format, US or international. In the US, the date format is month, day, year. In all other countries that don't use the American standard, international will be the way you'll want to go, and this will be day, month, year. You can set that here. Same thing with your currency format. So you can select based on language what country you are in, and then the system, using the standard Windows functionality, will use that to know how to display your currency symbol, the thousand separator, the decimal separator. Some countries have those flipped from the American standard, so those can all be set in this way. And in fact, doing so, you will find that it will in fact change the symbols all throughout the program. So anywhere you do see one, you'll see pound symbols here, pound symbols, pound symbols. So it can be changed very easily in that way to show whatever your currency symbol is. And then we can, of course, restore everything to the defaults if for some reason you should need to do that. Print setup. So this again allows us to set a few defaults. So standard paper size, and what this actually controls is when you create invoices or reports, the virtual invoice or report that you see displayed on your screen that you could eventually save or print or what have you. This controls what size that paper is. So if you are in the US, this will default to letter size by standard, and if you're in Europe, you can certainly change this to the A4 size that you would commonly use. Same thing with envelopes. There is an option to create an envelope based on the address tab of a contact record from within that contact record, and you can set here, well, which of the typical business envelopes that most people use do you want to be your default envelope? In the US, this will typically be a number 10 envelope, but you can certainly change that to whatever option you wish. And then also, if you do wish to run contact reports, there are reports that are designed to print out the name and address information of any groups of contacts that you can search on, and lay out that report in such a way that that information will land on a series of the standard commonly available Avery label sheets. So you can pick by default which of those Avery sheets you want to be the one you typically use. And then you can set inline reports to print as PDFs instead of our normal viewer format. Well, what are inline reports? Inline reports are any reports not actually found in the reports module. And there are actually several of them scattered throughout the program. An example would be on our project's billing tab. On our summary screen, we actually have a print project summary report. This will actually generate a report that looks very similar to this grid. Another example would be on our project billing invoices screen. we have various statements and summaries that we can print and give to our client or other people in our office that might need that information. So these are all inline reports. So we can use that option to control what format that report is given to us in initially. And then also, new in our 2015 version, it's now possible to actually email invoices directly out of ArchiOffice. We actually have a screen now where you can specify all the SMTP information for your email server. All that can be plugged in here, and then the system will know how to communicate with your email server and how to actually, in fact, email those invoices to your customers. And that is the entirety of the preferences system area. And we will continue our look at preferences in a future video.